Welcome to an original podcast of Fishing Without Bait, the lifetime without definitive expectations, where we help people explode into their lives. We're looking for people who want to create their lives rather than find themselves. The only admission price is the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try. And if you have a few pixie dust sprinkles of those, you're on your way. Welcome aboard. Let the adventure begin yet again. Well, Mike, back in the studio.
Back at it again. It's good. It's good to be back with you. It's good to see you. I know you've had a tumultuous couple of months here. It's good to see you in person, not in a hospital, and doing the show again.
Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting what's happened the last few months, Mike, dealing with some, and I'm not being morbid or I'm not asking for sympathy here. 3 fairly close brushes with death. The last one was a song knocking on heaven's door. That was interesting. And then dealing with a pneumonia, and then dealing with sepsis, which is a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I was never afraid at all. Had no fear at all. And as a behavioral health therapist, I often ask people about their fear of death because it comes up so often.
Mm-hmm.
They have a tremendous fear of death. They don't know what's on the other side, and then they're afraid to leave this realm. You have anybody like that in your life, Mike?
Well, I think you're looking at somebody like that.
Oh.
I mean, I've had my own kind of anxieties a little bit. Like generally, I'm pretty okay, but every once in a while, the mind starts wandering, and you start thinking about it and going, and have some anxiety about it, right? But no, absolutely, and the way I kind of envision it, as much like I think anything in life is, I feel like it's going to be, in my mind, it's like a roller coaster. You don't know what's on the other side of that hill, and that anxiety of climbing that first hill is the toughest part. But once you go, you go, and you're not even thinking about the hill you climbed.
That's correct. Most people, and some elderly people that I visit in nursing homes, live a lifetime of regret.
Absolutely.
Regretting what they did do and regretting what they didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And wishing that they could have made amends to somebody or talked to them one more time. However, I think enough people know my sobriety date now. I've been clean and sober over 25 years. So in that time, I worked through these 12 steps of behavioral change. I developed a relationship and continue to add with a higher power of my own choice, the universe, energy, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you a grounding place. It gives you a center. Then we go to making an inventory. We do our resentments, our fears, and our sex inventory. And we admit all of our defects and our faults to this higher power, and we try to give them away. We have to do that a number of times. So then what we do is we make a list of all persons we had harmed and make amends to them all. Okay? And the whole idea here is to have no resentments.
Mm-hmm.
No resentments left. No bad feelings at all. No judgments. You deal with what's right in front of you. You accept people, and this is the big part of it, forgive them all. So if you've cleaned up your side of the street, you're prepared, okay? And you've talked to the people you needed to talk to. You've gotten rid of your resentments. You've forgiven people, even if you have to do it every day. So I'm not suggesting that I'm looking forward to the next adventure. However, I'm not volunteering, but I'm okay.
I think that's been a big shift for me as well, because I kind of lament that the only time that I think to talk to a higher power is when I'm getting on a plane about to take off. So I'm not as concerned as I used to be getting on a plane, because when I started back in 2016 on all these trips, I had some anxiety, right?
Well, that's natural, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the back of my head. Is like, well, if I'm taken today, I had a good run. It goes through my head a lot these days. And I really believe that, especially after the last several years. I've had a lot of great experiences, made a lot of great friends, met a lot of great people, and I hope made a positive impact in some way.
Well, you're making memories.
Mm-hmm.
And what people remember about you is your qualities, your strengths, your talents and abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't it be nice when you've crossed into the next world that people remember you as a really nice guy and a man of integrity, told the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what people want to remember you by.
Absolutely.
What do people remember Abraham Lincoln for? Being honest Abe, being a man of integrity.
Yep.
That's what they remember him by. A couple of things just to bring up briefly. I've talked a bit about the podcasts, my story. But a priest, once told me, the Creator, in his terms, God talks to everybody. Very few people listen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very few people listen.
Yep.
So I remember one time a number of years ago when I had a tremendous disappointment. I had someone in my life really let me down before this venture was supposed to start, which we had all wrapped up. And one of the key players in it the night before it was to start called me and told me that they backed out and they went with someone else. I was angry, of course. I was resentful. And one day in the afternoon, I was doing therapy, but I was not in a good space to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a Quaker, but I was a little further away from the meeting house down on Ellsworth Avenue here in Pittsburgh. So I went to the mosque, which was close, and I sat in there. And I remember this old man come up to me, and he said, "You look troubled, brother." And I said, yes, I am. And he said, "Give your," real emotional, because these are significant moments in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Give your troubles to Allah. He has broad shoulders and big hands." And then he hugged me. And excuse me about this, but then that resentment vanished because I let it go.
Mm-hmm.
It was no longer that important to me. And we've talked before, Mike, on this program about what's important. And I'd like everybody out there to find out what's important to them. And this isn't all about me, but this is just facts.
But it is. This is the next point of your story that is going to inform, because this is this is your experiences, because not everybody has dealt with this, right? Nobody's walked the path that you have, right? And you're relaying your experiences to hopefully help somebody through what they're going through, and this is important, Jim.
On Christmas Day, I received a message from a former patient that had told me that they were 2.5 years clean, and they thanked me for being kind and compassionate to people in addiction. And after that, I realized I still got work to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was pulled back those number of times for a reason.
Yep. There's something left to do.
You're not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
However, I cannot attack life like a hammer anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to call my shots and do the next right thing. So, here we are approaching the new year, and we've talked before how resolutions set you up for failure and disappointment.
And we've been reviewing some of the old podcasts talking about that as well. And as people are listening to this, they probably already, hopefully they have their New Year's resolution set, and they've just celebrated Hello 2024.
So as part of being a contributor, a patron of Fishing Without Bait, I have a number of PowerPoints that I did when I was with Sinclair to show in my groups. And one of them is on resolutions versus intentions. So as part of the benefits of being a patron and going a little bit deeper into our world, that's a plus. That's a bonus feature for everyone out there.
Is that your resolution? Is more content for the Patreon?
It's my intention.
Your intention?
It's my intention.
Absolutely.
Not a resolution, an intention.
You have no idea how much I use intention with things. I never say I'm going to do something. It's like my intention that this is what is going to happen.
When I deal with patients, I ask them to incorporate the words I choose into their life. It's my intention. Or when they wronged somebody, just tell them that wasn't my intention to cause you harm or make you feel bad. My deepest regrets. And then you don't do it again. So it's all about, the abracadabra deal, all the things we've talked about. I create what I speak what I create. And so we change our patterns of life, and understand that a little deeper dive into 12-step philosophy is that we own nothing. It is shared with us. We're shared this world, and it can be taken away too. So what's important is to participate in the moment. Observe, label, and describe and participate in what you're doing. Be fully immersed in experience rather than, we've talked about time traveling 150 times, but however, most people are time travelers. Please don't time travel in the new year. Be right here and be right now.
Be in 2024 with your friends and family.
Every day. It's like in the 12-step world we talk about, you don't have to stay clean and sober for a week or forever. All you have to do is stay clean and sober right now. And that's a choice. So what happens was when you begin to develop self-concept and self-esteem, you develop choices and you empower yourself. Most people don't feel empowered, which is why the reason that most people fear death, because they haven't empowered themselves to participate in the moment. And it all goes back to the most fundamental emotion that you and I've talked about countless times, and that's fear. Most people do fear to die, Mike. Most people fear to go on an interview.
But again, it's getting over that hump. It's getting over that first hill on the roller coaster. Once you're there, once you're through the door, you're not even thinking about that path that got you there.
It's identifying the fear. What are you afraid of? Let's check the facts. What do I know for sure? What does anyone know about the beyond? The next world, crossing over, whatever you want to call it. So the point is to keep doing the next right thing right now, to know the difference between right and wrong, to have a moral compass, to be a person that people know are dependable, and always tell the truth. Always tell the truth and treat people with courtesy and respect. I found it in the hospitals that if you treat people with courtesy and respect, you generally get the same. So I spent a lot of time in the hospital talking about tattoos because the nurses would come in, the doctors would come in, especially this hand ink. And you know what the most common question I was asked?
Did it hurt?
Yes. And I said, yes, it did. Very much so.
I'm sure you continue to be a favorite. I got to see that when you were in the couple months ago. Got to see a star amongst the nurses and doctors. So.
Yeah, well, it's the hand ink that sets it apart. A lot of people have tattoos. Very rarely do you see somebody with hand ink.
Absolutely.
So live your life. Put your own imprint on it. I put my own imprint on my life, not only by my words and actions, but deeds, these tattoos. All of them mean something. And we hope that in this new year that we gain some more listeners and help people gain a deeper understanding of their own life.
And encourage you, if you haven't been getting a lot out of this show, when we do have the Patreon, we know not everybody has the means. Of course, those that do, thank you so much that do. But, just sharing the show, sharing it with a friend, sharing an episode that really kind of hit home for you and saying, hey, maybe this will help you wrap your head around what's going on in your life. This helped me with something, because we know we are out there. We know that I know Jim's gotten the messages. I know this helps me. How much this has helped me just being a part of this over the last several decade. I think I said when you walked in the door.
Well, we have over 400 episodes. There's something for someone there.
Absolutely. And it's been really fun to go through the archives over the last month that you've been unfortunately away. But it's just like, wow, we're not out of content. And maybe people haven't heard the version of the message from episode 370, 200 when we're here at 40 something, so
I mean, we might be a small podcast in terms of audience. However, we're not small on experience.
Absolutely.
And experience translates into wisdom. So we go along life and we pick up wisdom. We pick up positives. And that's like we talk about. And it's been my pleasure to be associated with you for over the last 10 years. I think we have something here, I think, that's kind of a hidden gem. So hopefully we can expose it to people, not for our greater glory, Mike, not for ours, not me and you's fame. What we want to do is we want to make an impact on people's lives. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to carry the message. And that's what we try to do with this podcast. So if you have any comments or suggestions, if you'd like to share your recovery story, please contact us. We've had some awfully interesting, tragic cases that turned out well, because when we talk about recovery, we want to talk about the solution. We want to talk about what they did about it. And all these people in our recovery podcast share that with you. And if you choose to, you can pick up on some of that and incorporate it in your own life. So, as at the end of every podcast, we offer a free prescription that you can cash with me anytime. Fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for another. Do a kindness for yourself. Forgive another and forgive ourselves. If we're all not the Creator's children, none of us are. Namaste, my friends. Until we meet again.
If you're interested in flying the colors of fishing without bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.